Greetings to the listeners of TALRadio English. It's CXO Showtime, bringing in global CXOs on this platform to share the journey to success. Our guest today is Devin Hibbard, founder and chief executive officer of Street Business School, a poverty eradication expert and international speaker. She believes to end extreme poverty in our lifetime. She is a speaker, teacher, mentor, and thought leader in social entrepreneurship, women's economic empowerment, and micro-business creation as a means of eradicating poverty. Devin's work has been featured in Nick Kristof's New York Times column, The Today Show, O Magazine, Vanity Fair, Lera News Hour, and dozens of other publications. She has seen what can happen when women are empowered as business owners and believes unleashing a generation of women entrepreneurs can help us realize a world without poverty. She is a champion of connections and strives to build bridges between concerned world citizens and people who experience poverty. She is also an author of Global Issues and Sustainable Solutions, a textbook on international issues. She has been awarded as System Innovator Award by Siegel Family Foundation in 2018 and Hero Award for Best Nonprofit from the 14 Nobel Peace Prize laureates of Peace Jam in 2017. Let's welcome Devin Hibbard. Devin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Can you please share the story behind the establishment of Street Business School?
Street Business School is an organization that provides entrepreneurship training to women living in deep poverty. And it actually evolved out of another social enterprise, a group called Bead for Life, which I also co-founded back in 2004. Bead for Life was a fair trade company that worked with Ugandan women to make jewelry out of recycled paper. And then we would bring their jewelry to an international market, helping them increase their income and support their family. Early on in Bead for Life, we realized that we wanted the program to be a ladder out of poverty for women. And so instead of deciding to work with just, a couple hundred women forever and ever, we decided that we wanted to create a pathway out of poverty such that women would make money from their jewelry, at the same time learn how to start their own local business, doing whatever it is that they were passionate about. So some women started vegetable stands, some women started selling used clothes, a whole range of businesses. And they were using the money that they earned from their jewelry in order to start those businesses, and then they would graduate out of our program. It allowed them to be self-sufficient, truly independent of us, which is my definition of sustainability in their local economy. And it also allowed us to serve many more women over time. So this idea that was started in Street Business School of giving women business training so that they could start their own businesses soon proved to be very effective. And as we saw how effective it was with Bead for Life, we decided to start trying just the business training, but not combining it with any kind of financing. So we tried it, offering it to people who didn't make a product for us, got no money, they weren't paid anything for the product, they got no loans, they got no grants. Really, they got two fundamental pieces. Number one, they got business training, 8 modules that help them think about business concepts, very targeted to women who are living in deep poverty. And number 2, they got confidence building to help them believe in themselves. And that is the origin of Street Business School. It started as part of Bead for Life and then eventually became its own organization.
So Street Business School is basically got the foundation or motivation from the Beat for Life organization that you were leading, and that actually became the whole crux of initiating a street business school. That's very impressive. And what do you think were the challenges in actually getting this overall objectives met, and what kind of an obstacles that you have faced as part of your overall progress on this?
Well, we started Bead for Life back in 2004, so it's been an 18-year journey, and during that time there have been many, many challenges. Street Business School specifically became its own organization in 2018 with the goal of scaling the curriculum that we've created to other organizations and to other parts of the world. there have been so many challenges. I sometimes say that had I known how hard it would be then, I probably never would have started this organization, these two organizations. So a couple of challenges that I would say. Number one, I would say that it really took a long time to get a program that was really uh, dialed in, customized to the needs of women living in deep poverty. It's not like you can start on day one and figure out how to do that. And I have to say that I believe we're successful because of a couple things. Number one, our work was all led by local Ugandan women on our team who really did an incredible job of iterating over time, testing, evaluating, talking to the women, understanding what would work. So that was challenging and took years to really get something that was truly effective. And then I think as we launched Street Business School as its own organization and we started looking at impact at scale, our goal is to reach out 1 million women entrepreneurs and their 5 million children, so 6 million people out of poverty, that there were some challenges in going from a direct delivery organization that was training women directly to thinking about training other organizations. So now we are doing a lot of capacity building. We're helping other organizations embed our proven program into their work. And that took a mindset shift for our team to understand that we were changing how we did our work. So those are just a couple of many challenges that we've come across in the last years.
And the focus has always been on empowering women rise out of poverty. And you are collaborating with a lot of partners globally, I would say a lot of across the countries. And these are all aligned with the UN SDG goals. You want to share some programs that you're currently carrying out with respect to the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
Yeah. So our pathway to scale is really taking this program that has very strong metrics and impact data behind it and sharing it with the world. We realize that we are truly experts in livelihoods training, entrepreneurship training for women, and that there's many partners around the world who are experts in all those other things, and that we believe deeply that partnership is the way to achieve impact. And so we have adopted a social franchise model of scaling our work in which we partner with organizations that are deeply embedded in communities who understand the culture and the politics and the gender norms and the religious norms. They're really the experts. We bring to the table our proven model and our expertise in a program that can help women increase their incomes. In fact, our data shows that women are able to triple their incomes as a result of going through Street Business School. And our partner brings that local knowledge. And together, we believe that pairing is greater than the sum of the parts, can create an outsized impact. So we created a very robust training model for partners. There's a couple different ways that we deliver that. But we essentially give them all the tools they need in order to run their own Street Business School in their own local community with customization that they've brought. And through that model, we have now trained 168 partners in 26 countries around the world. And those are partners that are really working across many different sectors. And so when we have mapped our network, we now know that those organizations are using Street Business School to amplify their work in 16 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So it really is a tool that can be used across the map.
That's a huge objective, and that's a huge goal that you are trying to achieve. Well, kudos to you and to your team. And most importantly, you did talk about the impact thing, right? I mean, there are like a lot of various stories of impact. Would you want to share some of those inspirational stories with us?
Yeah. We believe deeply in understanding that we're driving impact. If women are not increasing their income, I always say we all should go home and do something different, because I believe it's irresponsible to be in this space if you're not really helping people that you serve at the end of the day create a material change in their lives. So we're very serious about tracking this impact. What we know from the data is that the average woman in our program starts at about $1.35 a day, $1.35 US a day, in her average income. Our program is a 6-month training program. At 6 months, she's increased her income by 54%. But then we know, because we really believe in sustainability, that we want to go back 2 years later. We don't want to see women who increase their income in 6 months and then slide right back into poverty. To me, that's not a sustainable solution. And so we actually go back 2 full years later to understand what's happened to the woman and her family at that point in time. What we see at 2 years out is that a woman has increased her income 211%. She's now earning an average of $4.19 a day. We know that 89% of women at the 2-year mark have at least one business, and 46% of those women have 2 or more businesses. So we see that the sustainability not only lasts over time, it increases over time from the time they graduate to 2 years later. That the skills that we're teaching are durable skills. They're skills that a woman can take with her, even if she is, has to move or becomes a refugee or, has to close the one business. She has the knowledge plus the confidence in order to start again. And so we're seeing very robust increases in income. Just yesterday, actually, we launched the results of a randomized control trial that took place in Uganda. And this RCT spanned COVID. And what we saw is that even during COVID, the most significant economic disruption in a century, perhaps, that women in Street Business School's program doubled their incomes during that time period, and saw really significant and sustainable results. They had 149% higher income than women in the control group during this time period. So we feel very clear that Street Business School is a solution that works.
Right. You brought up the very interesting study that came out yesterday, right? The RCT, which the randomized control trial, right? And it did talk about certain aspects of benefits on the material benefits and the non-material benefits. You want to put some more showcase on that?
So we looked obviously at change in income, profitability, business creation. Those are all really important things to us. But we also, I mentioned to you that we know that it's not only starting businesses that's important. We also know that having women believe in themselves and have the confidence to do this is one of the most critical things that we did. So we, in this RCT, the researchers that ran it, who come from the JPAL at MIT and the University of Rosario, they embedded a number of psychometric measurements to understand what's the impact on women's sense of who they are in the world. And what they found is that the metric that really showed a change is a metric around grit. Grit is this idea that you are resilient, that you can face challenges that come your way and bounce back. And what we saw is that in the study, women who had gone through Street Business School were 3 to 4 percentage points higher on the grit scale than women who were in the control group. And that's very consistent actually with interventions that are specifically targeting grit, that are focused on helping people increase their grit. So we feel really excited about these results and the fact that they show that, women think of themselves as resilient, and we know that that's more important than ever in the face of a global pandemic.
Right. And this has been more focused on women, right? I mean, how was it able to change the perspectives of the society in general? Because the culture over there is completely different to what we see over here in the developed world. So are we looking at also educating the next generation to follow the current set of women? Are there any roadblocks? Are there any challenges? How are we trying to see the next gen is a lot more evolved than what we currently have today?
Yeah, there's so much to say about that question. A couple things that come to mind. One is just to clarify, at Street Business School in our direct delivery, and we do continue to have a what we call our learning lab to test innovation. We have always trained women, but in this partner network of 168 organizations, we have many partners who train both women and men very successfully. So we know that Street Business School is an intervention that can serve women and men both. This question of the next generation is so important. And I think about, what we're doing at the end of the day with Street Business School is not only helping a woman transform her life materially, transform her sense of who she is and her confidence. But when you think about that shift in a family, you think about now your mother is making enough to send you to school, to, have regular meals, to access health care, but also that sense that she is strong and she can be an entrepreneur. You think about how that affects a child. And so it's not only that they're getting access to the important things to help them survive as a human, but also that they're seeing a strong role model. I think that that's transformational in terms of generational poverty. And we do see that young people are really looking towards the future and what the opportunities are like. And I think having strong, successful role models in their family is transformational for the next generation.
Right. That's so very powerful to focus on women, because women are very pivotal in terms of bringing any change anywhere in the society, because they are the core foundations for next generation. And what would be it will actually be a boon for kids to have their own mothers as their role models, right? I mean, that's so very powerful even to think about. And
Yeah.
with that focus, you're doing a lot of immersion workshop programs and all. You want to talk or give more details about some of such programs to our listeners?
Yeah. So we have a number of ways that we work with our partners. Most of them are nonprofits, NGOs around the world. The most fundamental training that we offer is called an Immersion Workshop. It's an 8-day in-person gathering where we are training organizations to learn how to run their own street business school, giving them all the tools that they need in order to do that. And I got to tell you, this is the most fun 8 days that you'll ever have. It is because we believe so much in engaging and interactive content, because we're working sometimes with women who are not literate, right? Everything we do has to be sticky. And so we've developed not only our materials for the women that we train directly, but also the materials for the staff of other organizations that we train to be very engaging. It's all gamified, it's fun, it's competitive, and there's prizes, and it creates an incredibly strong bond of the organizations that go through this training. So that's the Immersion Workshop. We also, in the era of COVID, has created an equivalent virtual training where people are zooming in from all over the world and getting the same kind of interactive training over an 8-week period. We also know that there's some partners that we work with who have different needs. We work with a lot of larger organizations. We have a partnership with BRAC, which is the world's largest NGO, and other big partners who are maybe working in multiple countries or multiple locations. And with those partners, we have all kinds of programs ranging from consulting services all the way up to a master trainer program where we can embed the expertise in their team in order to certify all of their global staff to deliver street business school. So the way we partner with organizations is fairly broad.
Any specific inputs in terms of any additional organizations who may be looking forward to partner with Street Business School? Any instructions or documentation that you have on your website, or any pieces of information or communication that you have for them?
Yeah, we are definitely looking for partners who believe that this work would help them accelerate their impact. And organizations who are curious about this can visit our website, which is streetbusinessschool.org, to find out more about upcoming trainings that are available. We have, I think, 4 trainings coming up between now and the end of the year, and how to enroll, and all the materials that they would need to submit to be considered as a Street Business School partner.
Awesome. And then you come with a big mission. The mission is to lift 1 million people from poverty through entrepreneurship. How are you going to be looking and achieving it?
Well, we're well on our way. Having 160 plus organizations in 26 countries around the world gives us strong evidence and a strong existing network of organizations who have have customized the training and who are already out there delivering it to communities that are in need. COVID has had a pretty dramatic impact on NGOs around the world. Lockdowns and restrictions on movement have made it hard for many of our partners to implement Street Business School, and yet we've seen incredible fortitude of our partners who are out there, training outdoors, training under mango trees, training, in many locations, because we see as a network that this training is more needed than it's ever been before. One of the things about COVID is that the World Bank says it's pushed almost 100 million people back into extreme poverty. That is the first time in decades that we've gone backwards in bringing people out of extreme poverty. And we also know that the majority of those are women and girls. And many of them have been pushed back into extreme poverty because they've lost jobs in low-wage industries that we know are probably not going to come back for years, if ever. You think about the garment industry, you think about the tourism industry, you think about, those things that have just essentially vanished overnight, leaving people in, pretty significant poverty. So a solution that targets women to survive and thrive in the informal sector is a pretty important part of COVID response, and that's exactly what Street Business School is. And so we have big vision in the next 10 years of how to roll this out, to work with more NGOs in order to, partner with them to help us reach the 1 million women.
Right, and it's a big goal, and what we say in business is that what you can't measure is you can't achieve. But I do see that SBS program performance is measured on very, very important elements. You want to talk a little bit more in detail about those measurements?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that we believe that measurement is important. As you say, if you don't measure it, people are not going to prioritize it. And so we measure change in income. We really need to see that women are creating a material change in their lives and allowing them to lift their families out of extreme poverty. We measure business creation. We want to know that women are starting businesses. And one of the important things we actually see is that there's quite a bit of diversification, that women are starting 2 or 3 businesses in order to, smooth the maybe seasonal fluctuations in their first business. They have a secondary business or a third business, and, maybe they're employing a couple of people. So we measure that. Our recent RCT looked at some of the business behaviors. We saw that there's a statistically significant increase in things like price management from women who go through Street Business School. So we're measuring those to some extent. And we're also really keen on measuring the impact through our partners, because at the end of the day, our success is through this incredible and robust network of partner organizations. And in order to do that, we've actually created a proprietary monitoring and evaluation tool. It's called the Sbs Impact Tracker. And it is a phone or tablet-based system that works offline. So organizations that are serving people in very rural areas, or that there's no cell phone coverage or Wi-Fi connection, can still use the tool to gather data for the beneficiaries that they're serving. When they get back to their office, it will automatically sync to the cloud. There's a Salesforce backend. And the important thing for us is that not only does that allow us to see our partners' data in real time, but every partner has their own dashboard as well, so that they have access to the data in order to make programmatic decisions, in order to report on their progress, in order to do fundraising. So, we've really tried to create all the tools that we can that help us track progress, but also really are beneficial to our partners, because at the end of the day, it is a true collaboration.
How different is the existing partner program, and if somebody wants to become get into a global master program, right? Is there a big change, or is it like most of the area are interconnected?
So our global ambassador program is something that's related to our fundraising and our donor community. It's a way that people who support Street Business School can host an event that introduces Street Business School to their broader community if people want to get involved. It's another wonderful way for people around the world who believe in entrepreneurship training for women to get more involved with Street Business School and to share it with their community. So I would love for anyone who's listening to this and wants to learn more, or wants to hear about our Global Ambassador Program. We're happy to share more information about that, and I think there's some information on our website about that as well. But that's not as much a training program for NGOs. It's really for global citizens who want to support this kind of work to get engaged. We've had some amazing Global Ambassador events in the past. Last year we did an International Women's Day where we had Global Ambassador events happen all around the world at the same time. They were able to zoom into our team in Uganda and hear some updates there, and to introduce Street Business School to a huge group of people around the world. So it was a really amazing day to have Global Ambassador events.
Awesome. And then you conduct this all across Uganda, or through the partner ecosystem?
Yeah, people who hear about Street Business School and want to get more involved can get in touch with us through our website. And then if they want to host a Global Ambassador event, it's not restricted to International Women's Day. Of course, someone can do that anytime throughout the year. But sometimes we do special days where, many hosts across the world will host at the same time, and then we will connect with our team in Uganda to have them be able to share firsthand stories.
Thank you for those details. And what would be your message for any woman to fulfill their dreams as a successful entrepreneur?
That's a great question. Having done this work for many, many years, I think that the most important thing for women who are ready to change their lives and lift their families out of poverty is that you have to believe in yourself. You have to think and know that you can be successful. We've really seen that for so many of the women that we work with, they've never had anyone in their lives who said to them, "You can do anything. I believe in you. I know that you can do this." And so that piece of confidence is really important. And I have to say, for me, even the first time I said out loud that it was my goal to reach 1 million women, that was very scary. It was a scary moment to say that out in the world. And I right away, I wanted to take it back. And so I've had to learn to believe in myself and my vision, and to lean into that. So I think believing in yourself is such an important thing, having confidence, and then finding people around you who believe in you and see that vision as well. I think that's the most important thing. And then, of course, you got to get the knowledge of how to do it and the skills and the team and those pieces. But the belief, I think, is the first step.
Right. And I do see that you're making a lot of experiments initiated as well, in terms of some pilot programs that you're currently trying to get through, like Cheche, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, we are an organization that constantly iterates. I don't think we've ever stopped trying new things. And this past couple years with COVID has been an acceleration of that. We've tried so many different things in this time period. It's quite exciting. So just a couple examples of programs that we've piloted in the last several years. Number one, in response to COVID, when our team in Uganda, the team called the Learning Lab that does direct delivery to women beneficiaries, they couldn't gather in person. And so one of the things that they immediately did is they started building a phone curriculum that allowed us to call women in small groups. We'd call 5 to 7 women at a time, and we'd actually deliver the training over the phone. Our team is amazing, and they were so determined that not only was this a time when we were more needed than ever, but more women out there were desperate for this kind of solution. And so we delivered trainings to over 750 women over the phone. In some cases, we were able to go back and do in-person graduations. I was actually in Uganda in December, and I attended one, and it's the first time that the women graduates of Street Business School had met the team. We call them coaches. the first time they had met them first face to face. So that was an incredible innovation that we tried. A second is Che, this program that you've mentioned, which means spark. And Che is an initiative to bring our trainings to very rural parts of Uganda. We go and we find community members who are deeply embedded in those communities. And we train them in how to run a street business school in their community. And through that program have now piloted that in one region in Uganda with, I think, almost 800 women, and have seen strong initial success. And so if we see in our M&E, in our evaluation, that those results are robust, we will roll that out to other parts of the country in Uganda this next year, and potentially also take that as a pilot that our partner organizations in those 26 countries could learn from as well, and perhaps start their own Che programs. So that's a second innovation. And then I'll just mention one other that I'm pretty excited about. The third innovation that we're testing right now is we have recently completed a pilot with 200 women where we took our curriculum and we created bite-sized 5 to 7 minute voice recordings that are delivered over a woman's phone. So no in-person contact at all. We enroll women, we put their phone number into the system, and then over an 8-week period, we delivered content to them in 5 different modules that incorporated both business concepts, but also alumni testimonials on how the business helped them, how the knowledge helped them grow a business. And if we can prove that we can deliver effective curriculum over the phone, we could reach 1 billion women, right? So we're pretty excited about this pilot. We have some very early initial data that looks quite promising, but we're going to go back in 6 months to collect more data to see if the sustainability is in there. So 3 innovations. We love innovation. We do a lot of testing and iterating all the time, and those are 3 things that I'm pretty excited about.
Right. And I'm getting compelled to ask you, do you face any language barriers? Because there is a lot of communication that is going on. There is a lot of information that is being offloaded from your end. They have to upload a lot of information. How are you currently trying to manage this barrier?
Yeah, it's one of the other beauties of training partners is that the partners are able to translate the curriculum into the local language, because every street business school is taught in the local language by local people. We really believe that the most proximate people are the best suited to deliver street business school. And so, for example, we have partners in Burundi, and they took the training and then they translated everything from English to the local language that they wanted to deliver in, and they're now rolling it out in Burundi. The same thing in India. We have partners in India who came and received the training, and then were able to translate it into whatever local language they are working in, and depending on the state in India. And so that's the beauty of this model, is that it really does get customized in that way. Now, there are some areas where, we train, right now we're training partner organizations in English, and we are working pretty rapidly to try and broaden the number of training languages that we can deliver in. So, for example, we do have about 5 countries in Latin America where we have partners. We know in order to expand our footprint significantly in Latin America, we probably need to have Spanish-speaking trainings. West Africa is more French-speaking. So we're looking at adapting and bringing that capacity into our organization. But right now, the translation all happens by our local partners.
Right. That's a very innovative train-the-trainer kind of an approach as well, right? Yep. And I wouldn't want to stop asking you one other innovative thing that you are doing, which is the cost-benefit analysis. What's the secret behind it?
So a couple of years ago, we set out to really understand, is street business school a good investment? And so we did a cost-benefit analysis, which is to say, we took all the dollars that had been invested in Street Business School over a 3-year period. And then we looked at all the partner organizations that we had trained in that 3-year period. And we used our assumptions on how many beneficiaries, how many women would be reached by those partners. And what we were able to do is come up with a calculation that said for every dollar that was invested in Street Business School, women were able to generate $5.80 in additional income because of that intervention. Now, COVID has, of course, affected that a little bit and, caused some disruptions in terms of the number of people that we can reach. But we are looking forward to doing another cost benefit analysis in the near future in order to, continue to just track how effective Street Business School is as an intervention in helping women boost their income. Because again, we're driven by metrics. We believe a lot in the value of understanding cost effectiveness and leveraging every single dollar. Resources are finite, and we have to look, if we're going to solve global poverty, we have to look at the interventions that really provide a good return on investment.
What do you feel when any woman who is under the cloud and feeling very disappointed, and when you go in there and make her more empowered with your programs, what is the sea change in your feelings with the disappointment that you see initially and the smile that you see later on?
This is the best part of my job. This is literally the best part of my job, is that I get sometimes, not every day, but when I get to travel out and see our programs at work, I get to see that real transformation of the human spirit. You see a woman who's really been downtrodden by living in poverty for many years. She's struggling every single day. She's working so hard every single day just to feed her kids, maybe just one meal. And over a 6-month period, to see her come into the program, to see her look at other women who are just like her, who were living in dire conditions, who were struggling every day, and who can come back and say, look, now I have 3 businesses, and my children are in school and they're eating regular meals and they're healthy. You see that moment of spark. She hears that story and she thinks, if that lady can do it, why can't I do it? Why shouldn't I do it? And that's the moment when everything starts to change, is when she says, I think maybe I can do this as well. And once that shift happens, watch out, because she is going to take all the tools and she's going to run with it and change her life. And that's the most gratifying part of my work, is that I get to see not only a woman, tripling her income and feeding her kids and starting 3 businesses, but I get to see that spark in her eye, when she feels like, I am doing this. I'm the one who's sending my kids to school. I'm the one who's created all this change. That sense of dignity, that sense of purpose in her life, even the transformation of how her community views her. I had a woman say to me, I used to be a backdoor woman. Like I never could come out in public. People didn't want to see me. And now I'm seen. I had another woman who went through our program years ago, and she said, I was so poor that my family never used to consult with me. When there was an important family decision, or even when there was a wedding or a funeral, people didn't want to tell me because they knew that they would have to pay for me to attend this family function. She said, now that I am a successful businesswoman, they come to me and they ask my opinion. She said, this is her literal word. She said, now I'm somebody. And that sense of transformation is awe-inspiring to see, and it's the greatest honor I have.
Right. And I think my next question is for most of the women out there, to feel them more proud about being a woman, right? The question is, can you share a story about a woman that you have come across? Not necessarily you need to name them, who can be a motivation from rising from the ground and scaling up to the near heights?
I have so many stories. I could talk all day with stories, but I will choose one. This is a woman that I had the opportunity to meet probably 4 years ago now. And she is a woman who lived with her husband and 2 children. They lived in a very swampy community. They had built a very rickety house on this land that was low-lying, so it flooded every year. And her husband had a like a day laborer job, so sometimes he'd get work and sometimes he wouldn't. And the family would eat or not, depending on whether he could find work for that day. And she heard about Street Business School and decided she would come in and listen and see if it was something that was interesting to her. So she came in and she learned the fundamentals. The first couple sessions that we teach are around getting out of your comfort zone. And then we teach something called finding capital and starting small. And this is really teaching women how to start with very little money. So even if you have $1 or $3 or $5, you can start your own business. And it might not look like the business you envision eventually. And so she really took this to heart, and she started a vegetable stand. And the first couple days that she had the vegetable stand, she only had enough money to buy, 4 tomatoes and 2 eggplants. And her neighbors laughed at her. They said, "That's not a business. What are you thinking? That's just like a couple of vegetables." And she was angry, but she didn't say anything. She went to her house and she wrote on the side of her house, "Work, not words. Work, not words." That's what she wrote. And then she went and she got down to business, and she started growing her vegetable stand and reinvesting the money that she was earning. And pretty soon, instead of having 3 tomatoes on a little sheet on the side of the road, she had built a little kiosk by the side of the road. She had, dozens of vegetables. And she told me when I met her, she said, "Now my neighbors aren't laughing anymore. I showed them by work, not words. I'm not worried about gossiping. I'm not going to fight with anybody. I'm just going to get to work and I'm going to build my business." And because of that business, not only was she feeding her children regularly and helping her husband, but she was actually saving money to buy a new piece of land in an area that wasn't swampy, so they didn't get flooded every year. And that story has always stuck with me. Work, not words. I just love that attitude. She believed in herself, and she went out and she made a difference.
Work, not words.
Isn't that
Such a
great?
motivational quote, actually. Yeah. I mean, surprisingly, it came out of her, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has their own power, right?
Yeah.
And thank you, Devin, for being with us today. I didn't realize how the time went through, and there is so lot more to discuss. I think I'll definitely request you for some more time later. But with those things, more power to you and to your woman to whom you are trying to work towards creating a better world for everyone. Thank you very much, Devin, for having
Thank
us
you.
being with us today.
Thank you so much.